Hello, everyone. Good evening. Aradhna Tiwari from Be the Change by Aradhna, the founder of Be the Change page, an Access Consciousness certified facilitator, and your friend to take every week the guest here who's actually making a difference in the world. So, thank you for joining us. And just wanted to say a few words around what is Be the Change a talk show. This is a dream come true talk show for me because this is like really close to my heart because it just invites different celebrities from different backgrounds and where I talk about them, what do they know and how they are making the change. For me, be the change is very important as you being the change is bringing a change in the world and you trying to fit in and misfit into and thinking yourself as a misfit and trying to fit into everybody's world is not a gift. So stop trying to fit into other people's world and start being who you be, and that's when the whole gift is that shows up, and that is what you are here on the planet for. And I think we've learned enough looking and biomimicking other people how to be and not to be. And I guess it's now the time for you guys to choose and come up and show up who you are and what are your potencies and what are your capacities, and which the world doesn't know. So what you know, only you know. So this platform invites you to come talk about you what you know. So any one of you who's knows it and is already having the courage and following their heart are most welcome to connect to us and being invited to this talk show for and inspiring more people to follow their heart. And today's guest is an amazing guest. I'm really looking forward. He's an author, an award-winning poet, international motivational speaker, artist, film advisor, veteran advocate, a Vietnam War veteran, Rev Bill McDonald. His life has been a spiritual journey. He has written about 5 books capturing his many spirituality transforming experiences and near death experiences, including supernatural events during his combat tour duty in the Vietnam War. What he knows for sure after all these years is that the only thing that is truly real is love. He speaks publicly about the need to forgive and power of love. His mission in the life is to inspire others to seek the divine. I'm so excited, and I will just run a small video about him and then probably invite him here to talk with all of us today. So, Nali, can I have the video, please? Can we play we'll just play the video and then.
Oh, here we go.
I think. Thank you, Sonali. Welcome, Rev. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, all right.
Yay, welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for saying yes to this invite. How did I get so lucky and how did the show get so lucky?
How could I refuse? And your friend did that wonderful little video of me like that. That was a wonderful gift as
Yeah,
well.
no, thank you.
There's a lot of people out there doing lots of little things that are making it better for a lot of people. People have this belief that you got to invent a cure for cancer, or for world peace you got to get two nations to to surrender and sign a treaty or something. But it's all these little drops, drops in the ocean that make the ocean, right? It's all these little things we do. It's smiling at people. It's being a good mother, a good sister, a good daughter. It's being a good husband. It's all these things. It's like forgiving people. It's like loving people, even if they don't even know they're loved. You don't tell them you love them, but you love them. When
That,
you pray for people. So there's a lot of small things that are going on worldwide that are actually, it's hard to see this right now with all the stuff going on worldwide. But in our own way, the human race is evolving upwards, even though at the moment it appears just the opposite.
wow.
Because if you watch the news, you go, my God, everybody is fighting. Nobody wants to wear a mask, and everybody's sick, and everybody's, you know, sometimes you have to destruct and tear down to rebuild. And you kind of clear things out. And we're at that stage right now. I think the next few years is going to be the tearing down, changing of governments, changing of policies, changing the way we treat women, changing the way we treat children, how we treat other nations, how we treat each other. That's the big issues of the next decade. We have to get past our country first, ourselves and our own family, our own tribe, and start realizing that, you know, everybody's our family. Everybody's our brother and our sister. And one country to the other, the only thing that separates them is some imaginary line drawn on a map that says, you're Pakistan, you're India, you're Mexico, you're America, you're Canada, whatever it is. In truth, if you look at the world from a spaceship, satellite or something, there's no lines anywhere.
True that.
We're all one humanity. Anyway, that's my opening statement.
Beautiful.
Good morning to you from California.
Yeah, so Rev is from California, and before I got into the show, I was just talking to him about love, and I was like, "You're such a handsome man, and I'm sure you have zillions of men falling for you." And he says, "No, that is one thing. He's for 51 years has been straight, and he has been living with his sweetheart darling from the age of 14." Guys, can you imagine? I'm like, wow, I didn't know that kind of love and romance didn't exist, and I think he brought up that zing in me of like to start this show with his beloved of course, like when he fell in love at the age of 14 and what kept him going until so many years, like 50 years, Rev? Is it 51 years together?
Yeah, 51 years together this January, but we've known each other since 1960, September 1960. So what's that? That's got to be 60 years.
Wow.
So, but who's counting? We're having fun, right?
So what is the secret there first? Let's start with that. What is that romantic secret that I thought romance doesn't really exist for like 60 years? You're like, oh, okay.
You got to be real. It's not always romance. It's not always a honeymoon. It has to be first and foremost friendship.
Mhm.
If you didn't marry your best friend, then you're doomed. It's you got a real rough road. And the second thing is you don't have plan B. Plan A, you get married. That's it, right? There's no plan. Well, if this doesn't work out in a few years, I'm gone. I know because all my siblings and almost everybody I know, they've been through 1, 2, 3, 4. And I had an aunt that had 9 marriages. So I mean, it's like if it don't work out, yeah, well, we'll start over with somebody else. So I never had that mindset. To me was this is a commitment. And I've committed to this person for better, for worse. And in my case, my wife, she probably got the worst. She got me. She was the smartest girl in high school. I mean, literally, She was literally the smartest girl in high school. She went to Berkeley and everything, straight A's and all that. But I told her after we were married a few years, I said, "You think you're so smart? No, you're not. You married me. How smart could you be?" Right? I mean, some people
Wow,
would question that
wow.
intelligence there, but
But
no,
I love that, Rev, that you said that your point, and I do sense that, your point of view creates your reality, and you were very clear in your head that you never have this, like, once committed is committed. That means how committed are you to yourself? That's so amazing. But how about your other partner? Was she also so committed to herself and was like, how's it going? Like, did you never fought? Did you never think of like moving out?
we 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 have never fought publicly,
Mhm.
and I don't think we've ever yelled or screamed at each other. But yes, you're a human being,
Yeah.
and if I got a sock laying on the floor and I didn't pick it up or whatever it happens, whatever imaginary or real things are, that is part of living. And if you're expecting your partner to fulfill your needs and make you happy, in other words, if you're not happy, it's because this person's not doing something for you, then you're at fault. Happiness has to be a self-generated uh, experience. You're
Wow.
happy because you're happy, not because somebody else does something to make you happy. Second thing is, if you love somebody, but if they don't react back and love you the way you expect to be loved or appreciated, then you're not really freely giving your love to that person. It's a bargain. It's you're buying them. Well, I've done all these things for you. How come you're not doing all this for me? How come you're not? In other words, there's strings attached. There's I'm doing this. I expect to get that. And a lot of because I do marriage counseling for people, everybody expects the other person to fulfill their shortcomings. If you go into a marriage as an unhappy person, and you're not happy with your own life and where you're at, and you marry this other person and think they're going to make you happy, it's not going to happen. You got to first start with yourself. So the first relationship that you have to work on is yourself.
Wow.
And if you work on that relationship, then your relationship with your partner, whether you're married or living together or whatever it is, uh, that will work
Wow.
because it has to be about giving. There was an old Saint Francis Assisi prayer, and I kind of paraphrased it here, but in marriage, it's not about getting anything, it's about giving. It's not about being understood. Understand me. No, it's about understanding your partner.
Wow. This is so amazing.
It's not about being loved, it's about loving. And so when you get into that modus operandi, when you get into that frame of thinking, and I mean literally at the thought level, where it's not about expecting anything in return, you'll never be disappointed. But they say marriage is, each person giving, and I'm saying no. If the other person gives nothing, you still give. So if you came to me for marriage counseling or relationship counseling, I just tell you right now, you give your 100%. Whether the other person gives it or not, that's their thing. If you
So,
love the person, you love the person. If you don't, you don't.
did you have that clarity at the age of 14, Rev?
What was that?
At the age of 14, did you have all this clarity with you? Like,
Actually,
blessed.
this is gonna sound egotistical, but who you see now is pretty much who you saw all the way down to as long as I can remember. I started meditating as early as I can remember, 2 years old, 3 years old. I'd have these dreams where people were showing me different weird things, and I'd wake up in my bed at 2, 3 years old, and I'm covering the coals off my nose and pushing my eyes up and closing my ears and doing all these weird things with my hands. So I'm going, what is this, right? And I'm breathing and I'm imagining the energy going into my air, going into my navel, coming up my spine, and 4 years old, all this stuff, and I'm going. And then I go to India, my first trip to India, and I met this Tibetan monk who didn't speak English. I spent days with him, and neither one of us spoke the language, but I had the greatest conversation with him ever had because it was all facial and body language. And anyway, and he showed me this technique of taking the breath and going through the navel and up the spine and all that stuff. And I go, wait a minute, I learned that 6 decades ago.
Wow.
I thought I made it up, right? So now I had a name for it, and I go, wow. So no, I've been unusual to say the least. Um, at a very young age, I was seeing ghosts. I was seeing the future.
Mhm.
I was having events, and of course, at the age of 8 years old, I had a near-death experience, and I was just about 1 year in the hospital. Imagine an 8-year-old boy taken away from his family. Family only sees him. They saw me about 10 minutes or 15 minutes a week. That
Wow.
was it.
Wow.
Rest time I was by myself. No books, no TV, no radio, no record player, no magazines, no coloring books, and sometimes no other people. That was it, except nurse come and give you a shot and feed you. So I spent a year basically bed rest in a hospital with all these diseases and stuff. Now, some people say, oh, they read that in my book. Oh, how terrible. I'm going, no. It was one of the best things that ever happened to me because it taught me to be self sufficient, self reliant. In other words, they'd wake you up at 6 o'clock in the morning and they'd turn the lights on at 9 o'clock at night. And you had just laying there all day with absolutely nothing to do. What do?
Yeah.
You
What do
go,
you do? Is my question.
you go within, right? And you're laying on the bed, and you go within, and I'm taking all these imaginary journeys and stuff, and then I'm meditating, and I'm leaving my body, and I'm doing all kinds. But I'm learning to handle doing nothing, which actually with this pandemic in California where I can't go anywhere, it's serving me quite well now. So
Then and now. Then and
yeah,
now.
yeah. But but
Wow.
but I but I looked at that experience as an 8-year-old as kind of like being an apprentice monk. That was my cave. And I had dreams then of going to India. At 9 years old, I read the book Autobiography of a Yogi by
Oh,
Paramahansa Yogananda.
that,
Classics, still one of the great books, or the greatest. I love it. When I read it, I read about Babaji's cave. So there was a 9-year-old. I'm going to India someday. I'm going to find that cave. I'm going to go there and I'm going to meditate, which I did accomplish 50 years later.
wow.
It
Wow.
did happen. So,
When
and I
things
had a
go up, it's like no time. Like it can
yeah,
fly.
just no. Honestly, this is going to sound strange because I'll be 75 my next birthday, but yesterday is just as clear as tomorrow to me. It's
Wow.
it's it's just like that. And I mean, boom, you're in high school. Boom, you're in Vietnam. Boom, you're married. Boom, you kid. I got little babies. Now my son is going to retire from his job as a police officer. He's a California High Patrol officer in California. He'll retire in March. He's got a whole career in it. He's going to be retired. You know,
Wow. That's amazing. So
and
what's the
his kids are
secret?
all grown up, and
Secret.
I'm going, wow. So just
What's the
like that.
secret of life? What's the secret of life? Like you know so much and you've been into near death experiences, I think quite a few of them. So what
Uh,
is the secret of life?
well, I'll tell you what. I've had 3 near-death experiences. I had a profound rainbow body experience, which I didn't understand at the time, and I call it a rainbow body experience because I have no other way to describe it. I could explain it to you, but even if I give you the briefest explanation on this thing, it it's so lacking of what it really was. It'd be like me trying to explain if you were a blind person and never saw anything, right? And I'm trying to explain to you the difference between purple and green. Uh, how do you tell somebody the difference between colors if they've never seen colors, right? So we try to tell somebody about this experience. But back about 1970, 71, 72, 70, so in my early in the 1970s, I used to do these long meditations, 2, 3 hours a night, 2 or 3 hours in the morning before I went to work. And I had a family and kids, so I had to wait till everybody was in bed. So I finished a real long meditation, and I finally get to bed, and I'm laying there, and I'm looking at this picture of Yogananda sitting on my dresser table, and I'd just been at this long meditation, and half-hour chanting. I mean, the whole thing, right? And I'm looking at this picture, and I'm looking at the eyes. In fact, it's that picture, very picture, is sitting back here. But hang on, I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah. Wow.
And that's the actual picture. Anyway,
You
that's
met
Yogananda, his last photo taken of him before he died. And I was looking at that, and all of a sudden the eyes are looking back. You ever, and I know this, when I say this, I got a feeling you know exactly what I'm talking about. You stare at a picture of a holy person and they're looking back at you. And it's like you're melting into the picture, you're melting into them. And next thing, boom, just like that, I am out of my body. I am out of my body, and I'm not. It's not astral traveling like you know you got a little you know in astral travel you know
Yeah,
you
I get that.
connect with the cord. No, no, it's not that. It's none of that. I am a filament of light. I am basically a rainbow, and I am. When I first had this experience in 1970 something, when I described it to people, I said, "Yeah, it's traveling faster than thought. I mean, I'm just traveling, and all the cosmos and planets are going by like on Star Trek, you know, going to warp speed. It's like," and I thought, "My gosh!" And then it dawned on me about 5 or 6 years ago that I wasn't traveling at all, because not only was I going this, I was going every direction.
Wow.
I, I was expanding. It was my consciousness was expanding, and I just the experience, and I'll get into it some details so you understand a little bit of it, but basically, when I was going through this, it was an hour and 10 minutes or something, Earth time. Time and space in this world, material world, it was a little over an hour.
Hmm.
In this experience, it was 200 to 300 million years.
Wow.
I mean, from way back to forward. I mean, it was like I'm in this thing, and it wasn't until I remembered my wife and children that I even had them. And as soon as I did that, boom, boom, I'm back in the body. But why I'm traveling or expanding or whatever, I feel the universe. I mean, I literally feel and sense and know everything as myself, not as an observer looking at the planets or this nebulous or this sun or whatever. No, I don't, I'm not an observer. I am what I'm observing.
Wow. Wow. That's
And I am the colors around me, and I am the sounds and the sound of the universe. I mean, it's going to sound trite, but the sound of the universe is really Om. It's
um,
just this humming sound. It's just this, like everybody tries to get that physically down. All these great religions, ah, man, Om, you know, and there's all variations to that. And you got to say, why do all these different religions have that? All trying to mimic that sound that they hear at their more higher conscious levels.
but that sound is you. That is what you say, Rev.
That sound is the universe. It's the sound of love,
And you're the
the
universe.
sound of God. It's the sound of the atoms and everything making movement. It's the sound of not only creation but beyond creation.
Wow.
And and so I'm observing all this, and I realize that I'm a part of this rainbow. Just like this is my body, this is my hand. There's a finger. That's all still my body, right? The individual cells in that finger, that's still my body. You know, in the bloodstream, the individual particles, that's still my body. But everything's functioning. Even the bacteria in me is still part of my body. But it's all one body. And so I'm in this light, and it's like this light is all me. I'm a part of this, but I'm not alone. There's other spiritual cells in this thing. It's like a group. It's like a family. And this group that I'm traveling with for 200, 300 million years, we have a purpose. And our purpose is to help people on a spiritual level, to bring nations and people more in tune with the spiritual. But there were other rainbows out there floating around and zipping around the cosmos and creation for science, for politics, for art, for music, for, you know, world peace, all these different things that there's these lack of a better term, these beings, these souls, spirits, whatever, they're out there like guardian angels guiding these, doctors. There's a group, there's different groups helping to develop mankind.
So what is oneness then, Rev?
Well, oneness is the only truth. For example, people go, well, like the other day I was talking about reincarnation, and the guy goes, well, surely you believe in reincarnation. I go, no. I mean, no. Everything you talk about is reincarnation. I go, no. I said, in truth, there is no reincarnation because we were all made in the image of God. We're all one. We are all God. Okay, this is where it starts to get heavy. Now, if we're all God, this is God's dream. God's dreaming us, and he's given us this dream ego, and all of a sudden we have an I-ness, I, me, and a will, and we got free will, But in essence, it's all God. So there's only one, right?
And is that God you like? Because there's nobody else other than you when you go.
There is nobody else. It's which, our ego, and I tell you what, the ego, if we didn't have an ego, we wouldn't be here. All right. So and if you die and you go on the other side, you're in the astral world, let's say, you still got an ego. So you have an astral body. And then if you go to the causal world, you got a causal body. And then if you're a rainbow body, or if you're a body of light and love, or just a thought out there in the cosmos, you have a body of some kind, even if it's just light.
Oh wow.
As long as you have an ego, you have a body of some kind. And it may take you forever. No clock on this. There is no time. Till you realize one day, I've had fun. The dream's been good, but I'm going home.
Damn it.
Right?
Wow.
And that is so hard. I mean, realize that. Who wants to give up being I? I mean, that's a great attachment. And people, oh, I can overcome the ego. Well, good luck on that.
How do we give up I?
This is a long process, but in the true essence of the non-existence of time and space, as soon as you know that you're one with God, you are. It's the getting to know that.
Wow.
And we're living on this creative material plane. I mean, if you take our life, this creation, and take away time, there's no time. You couldn't have this created world because time, there's creation, there's, holding it together, there's, the destruction of it, just like you're taught, there's three elements of creation. But without time, you're free.
So like after having so many experiences, Rev. So how's it that you live? Like, how do you live as your family? How did you live as a war? What is the pain and suffering on this planet? So how do you kind of go around?
Well, since I probably had literally thousands and thousands of experiences consistently, it's at a point in my life now where that's the norm, the normal. But no, it's like when you're in India, right? And you have a samadhi experience for the first time, and you go to the guru, and you're all excited, and everything. And the guru just pats you on the head and said, "Go fetch water, sweep the porch, go chop some firewood, be in the world." You just have to. You can't get excited, and you can't because if you get really high highs, you're going to get really low lows. Who you're seeing right now, talking to, when I was in Vietnam, getting shot at, blown up, literally people getting killed all around me, I am just like I am right now.
Oh.
And if I won $1 million, I'd be lucky to remember to tell you. I mean, it was like, oh yeah, I guess yeah, okay, it's a winner. I don't get the real highs. Consequently, I don't get the real lows. I try to leave things on an even plane. I don't worry about what I don't have. I always feel I have enough. I'm one of these guys, when I pray, I think it's a breach of faith. It's an insult to God if you have to go to God and tell God what you want. I go, hey, look, the birds wake up in the morning, they don't have to say, please please, Lord Shiva, you know, give me bird seed today and let me find a worm, and water, protect me from the kitty cats. No, they don't have to say that.
I
But
love
people go to God like God is St. Nicholas, Santa Claus, and they ask God for everything. I need a job. I'm tired of working at this place. I want a good computer job. I want the right spouse. I want. Wow, even if you're a parent, you get tired of a child that would keep doing that to you. You'd like to have your child come and say, I just love you, mommy, daddy, right? So when you go to God in meditation and in prayer or in life, if you truly know that God knows who you are and is looking after you and is going to give you what you need, not necessarily what you want, but what you need. What you need might be cancer. What you need might be a new job. Who knows? There'd be all kinds of rainbows and possibilities, right? But you don't know what is really good for you. You should trust God. God will provide. And I travel. I go places. I here's an example. I took a trip to a speaking tour. I set up a speaking tour to Florida and to the United Kingdom in 2016. Nothing was booked. There was I knew a couple people, maybe somebody could do. I left with a ticket, and my wife says, "Where are you going?" I said, "Well, I'm going to Florida. I'm going to United Kingdom." She goes, "When are you coming back?" And I go, 55 days. She goes, 55 days? I said, she says, "How much money are you taking?" I said, "I'm taking $80 in cash in case I need some cash for something." She goes, "Okay." I go, I'm gone 55 days. When I come back, I have $3,000 in my wallet, and I spent $3,000. That's 6 grand. And I met some of those beautiful people. People put things together. I end up speaking at different events and things and meeting some really famous people in England and stuff. And I got invited to stuff. And people took care of me.
Wow.
I didn't have to worry. I just knew, here I am. God will take care of me.
Wow.
So you have to be able to trust. And I'm telling you, the problem with the world right now is people don't trust God. They don't trust the universe. They work from a place of lack. It's, I lack. I don't have a job. I'm going to lose my job. So that's all they think about is the lack of, instead of, oh, I'm losing this. This gives me an opportunity to find something different and new. I mean, you always have to look for the gifts.
Wow.
And sometimes the gifts are painful. Sometimes they're painful. I
True that.
mean, this is a real world, but in pain comes great growth. Now, it is inevitable that you and I and all of us will have pain, physical pain, mental pain, spiritual pain, relationship pain, all of it. You're a human being, it will happen. You can't control everybody around you. You can only control your reactions to what happens. But suffering, that is a choice.
Suffering is a
So
choice.
the
Wow.
suffering is a choice. Pain, you got to do it. You got to deal with it. But suffering, no. And I've seen people, they have little things happen to them, and they moan and they groan and they complain. And my God, I go, geez, I mean, sometimes it's small stuff. I had this woman, she bugged me for about 2 years. She had a little tiny scar on her cheek. You can barely see it, right? Oh, I'm scarred. I've had my nose cut off, literally amputated. I mean, I've had surgeries. I had this head cut up. I got scars everywhere, right? And I'm trying to tell her, oh, well, you're a man, you could do it. I said, look, I said, if you always look in the mirror and always see the scar, then that's your problem. I look in the mirror and I see a friend, myself. I'm a friend to myself. I enjoy me. I like my company. I'm even good company with them. I'm alone. You know, I'm not at war. But people are at war with their very spirit, who they are. They're not trusting enough to just turn it over to the universe and say, start their day off. This is what you want to know, since we're trying to give people advice. Every morning, every evening when you finish your meditation, hopefully people are meditating, whatever form of meditation it is, even if it's something that's just as simple as to stare at Jesus or stare at Lord Shiva or whatever, right? If it's as simple as meditation as that, just whatever they do it. But when you end that and you end your regular prayers, pray for others. Visualize love and forgiveness for all those people in your life. Don't just send love out to your family and the people that you love and like that like you back. Pray for those who are your enemies, the people that try to destroy you, that have hurt you, that have abused you, that have done terrible. Those people need your love and prayers. And how dare you not give it to them? God loves you. How dare you not let it flow? And they don't have to know that you're forgiving them. In fact, that would be your ego to go tell somebody, oh, you abused me all my life and everything, and you were a bad parent, but you know what? I forgive you. I mean, that's being egotistical, like I'm better than you. But to never say anything at all, but just to, in your prayers, in your quiet inner temple, in the darkness, the light of your heart opens up and says, I forgive you. Not only do I forgive you, I love you. I don't have to like you, but I love you. I mean,
I,
I'm
I have
telling
a
people,
point. I have
you
a
don't have to like these people, right? You don't have to like your enemies. I mean, you don't like the
I just
things they
have a
do.
point of view around Rev saying that I forgive you. Would an infinite being actually require to forgive somebody? Am I superior to somebody to forgive somebody?
Yeah, you know, it's our job to forgive. We are, since we are in essence a part of or God, how you want to look at it. Forgiveness is our natural state of being. Forgiving is how we move on. It's not about forgiving that person. Let's talk about forgiveness in general. It's not about forgiving that person, what you're doing for them. It's what you do for you.
Forgiving your own self.
Because when you forgive them, you're kicking that out of your heart. Because if you have anger towards somebody or hurt, which is another form of anger, well, I'm not angry. I just hurt. No, you're angry. It's all the same thing, right?
Yeah.
It's that negative feeling. But when you release that and you truly forgive them, you're gifted with inner peace. I mean, I've talked to women that have been abused, you know, greatly when they were a child and had terrible, you know, experiences. I mean, there's no way in the world you can look at them and say, "Hey, forgive these people." I mean, but I do, and they don't think, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "No, don't tell them. Don't go and you know, you don't have to. After
Basically, we are forgiving ourselves. We are forgiving us because there is no others.
you forgive them, your gift, the greatest gift from forgiveness is a gift you give yourself.
Yourself.
It's
I
just,
guess.
and whatever you give out energy wise, thought wise, word wise, or deeds or intentions to the universe, you manifest that in greater degree. In other words, if you're giving love and forgiveness, guess what? The universe will redirect all that back. It comes back to you, it bounces back to you. And it's amplified, it's more. By the same token, you send out hate and anger and you wish somebody, you know, I knew somebody, a married woman, and she was so mad at her at the spouse's mistress. You know, she wanted to, in her mind, she's doing all these. She wanted everything terrible to happen to this person. You know, all that anger destroys you. And
You're
when you
already melting me. I'm
so
already melting. Thank you.
anyway, so that's to me, forgiveness is the golden. It's the golden ring. You know, when I was a young kid, we used to have merry-go-rounds like in Santa Cruz, California, you know, and you go around this, and they had this little ring, you know, it wasn't gold, it was painted gold, but it wasn't gold, right? And you reach out off that merry-go-round, and I always think it's like the merry-go-round of life, and you try to grab the golden ring for yourself, right? So it's like one of the golden rings, forgiveness. It's a gift that keeps giving, and it actually manifests even not just spiritual health, but mental health and physical health sometimes. I know if you have negative stuff can really create some really bad health
Can you
issues.
talk a little bit about the physical sense? Like, what is these diseases like the fear, the liver disease, the kidney disease, the blood pressure? What is that creation? What is that physical creation, and how can we change that? Is it something around with love again?
All right. Okay. Let's talk about diseases. And there's experts out there because I'm not an expert at all in this, but I do know that you manifest everything that happens to you. The normal person, 99% of us or whatever, what happens to you is from your thoughts, your deeds, your intentions, your words, your actions, and not just necessarily from this life, but trailing it all the way back. Um, so it's an accumulation. Now, there are people out there amongst us that have diseases and injuries and things. And you go, well, geez, what was this, a terrible person? And it's a saintly person. Sometimes people will take on pain and even suffering for others. There's certain gurus and people out there, and Jesus and other people and Christian people, they will take on. There's great saints and sages that do that, and even some people of lesser degrees. And I think even sometimes parents even kind of take on some of the pain from their children. But so there is some say judging diseases with a karmic connection is very difficult to do because sometimes the people with the greatest pain and suffering are the people that come in this life and say, I'm tired of this stuff. Give me everything. Fill up my plate this lifetime. Give me all that. Make me blind. Make me crippled. Give me all that stuff. I want to get it done and over with. It tests me, right? So they're taking on really hard karma. And then you'll get somebody else that, like a child is born into a family and the child is got a real low IQ and they got physical issues or blind or whatever, right? They have chosen to come in that life and have that kind of life with physical disabilities, mental disabilities, to help their parents learn compassion, to help
Wow.
others learn love. And they are sacrificing this life, that body, to teach others. So when you see these people and you go, wow, how terrible, when would be born? You don't know. They may be serving humanity at a higher level and giving us something. So you can't judge that. So to get into diseases, you'll have, especially in India, they'll say, well, if you're doing this, and if you like for example, I've had 12 major heart attacks and all kinds of heart surgeries and all over the place.
Wow. I love that.
And I could go back, and it dawned on me one day because vegetarian for decades, and doing yoga and not drinking, don't drink, no alcohol, no sugar, no caffeine, no nicotine, none of that stuff, right? Clean gene, right? And yet I was having all these heart attacks and stuff. And I was talking to somebody once and and I said something, they were telling me their story and it was really sad. And I go, man, that just kills my heart. That really hurts my heart to hear that. And the person stopped and looked at me and says, you always say that. And I just thought, by me always saying that and actually feeling it from all these people I've been helping with all their mental, emotional, spiritual problems,
Wow.
my heart would ache and hurt for them.
Wow.
Now, I had a dream after I had that little epiphany. And in the dream, my heart's talking to me and saying, hey, we were trying to help you. We were trying to protect your heart from all that. So we built a wall of blockages around your arteries so they couldn't get to you.
Wow.
I mean, that was a silly dream, but there was a little truth there saying, wait a minute, if I'm always thinking and taking all these people's problems literally right to the heart, where's my problem going to be? In the heart, right? So um, every kind of personality trait will affect a different type of body. And there's people that got science. I don't even want to go into that. But just I know the heart kind of resonated with me because I'm thinking, wow, because by all means, I shouldn't have heart disease, other than the fact I went to Vietnam, I had Agent Orange. The government says, oh, you got it from that. But in my mind, yeah, that's the cause. But I'm going, the inner spiritual cause is me doing this.
Wow.
So, yeah. So,
It's like bodies have the capacity to take an information from other body and let you know, like this is going on in the other body too.
and not only are thoughts strong enough to make us sick, they're strong enough to make us well. That's why when they make a vaccine and they test it, they get somebody a placebo, other guy gets the real drug. And some of the placebo people go, hey, it worked, even though they only got nothing, right?
Correct.
You got a
Correct.
sugar pill or whatever. It worked because their faith and their belief and trust in it worked.
Yeah.
That's why a shaman or a healer or faith healer or whatever, if you have faith in that medicine, that type of treatment or hands-on or whatever it is, you will be healed if your faith is strong enough.
So
Even if
you're
it's believing in Western
you're
medicine or Indian, what do they call it? That the Indian, the medicine, Ayurvedic.
Ayurveda.
So whatever, see, they all work.
Yeah.
But if you have no faith in Western, then you use that one because you have faith in it, that'll work,
Yeah.
or vice versa. So
Wow. And so say more about your Vietnam, war situation. What did you? I mean, you had the near-death experience there as well. So how
well,
about?
in Vietnam, first off, I knew when I went there pretty much what was going to happen.
Wow.
When I had my first near-death experience at 8 years old, I saw the battlefields. I saw myself in a helicopter. I saw a lot of it. So when I went there, it was like deja vu. I knew, hey, look, I got all these medals and stuff. They said, oh, you're so brave. No, no, no. It's not bravery. Brave people are the people that don't know what's going to happen and they're scared and they do it anyway, right? That's a brave person. Me,
Oh, you.
they're not going to get me. I had somebody watching over me and I knew it,
Wow.
right?
I love
I
that
had,
gift of yours, the faith in you, like somebody's watching you.
I had protection. I knew I was going to be taken care of. So,
So how do you
uh,
go about that? Sorry, Rev, to cut you. Like, how do you go about that? You have an awareness of certain things, and you still walk into that space that this is gonna kill me or this is gonna hurt me,
it's
and
going to kill the people around me and everything else. Yeah, it's it was my destiny. It was my dharma. I was supposed to be there, and by me being there, it changed lives of other people. And I did save 30 some children and a priest because I refused an order. I don't know if you saw that video. I got a YouTube video called Mutiny, about mutiny in Vietnam, where I actually disobeyed a direct order, was threatened with a court martial, was threatened with life in jail or death sentence if I
wow,
didn't fire. And I knew that even though it looked like the enemy, it wasn't. And it turned out to be 30 some children and a priest. And they didn't have weapons, they had gardening tools. It's an interesting video. It would take us a little time to tell the story, but basically, had somebody else been sitting in that seat on that helicopter, other than me, that would have changed the fate of all those people involved.
wow,
So I always follow my, I call it my inner voice. It's not even a voice because to listen to a voice takes time. Like you talk to me and I have to listen to you get through the sentence. It's it's
you know it.
it's instant knowing. There's a difference between having a premonition and knowing. I know this is going to happen. And what's a shame is I did an interview in Bulgaria, a podcast last summer, like August, I think it was. And this guy interviewed me, and he's buying in on all this stuff I'm talking about the past. And then he casually throws out, this is 2019, he casually throws out, what's 2020 going to be like? And I go into this thing and I said, 2020. I said, a lot of people ain't going to make it out of there. There's going to be a worldwide plague. I didn't know it was a flu or anything else. I just know
Wow,
there's going to be a plague. I see people in my mind walking around with masks on. I see borders closed. I see people locked in their houses. I see unemployment. I see people in line for food. I see people lined up, spaced out, I see hospitals overcrowded. I said, America next year, and this is 2019, last summer, America next year will lose 300,000 people by the end of that year. And I went on and on and on. I went and said, there's going to be race riots. There's going to be protests. There's going to be fires on California and the West Coast. It's going to be burning up. And I went on and on and on, all this stuff. The guy stopped recording, never played any of my interview, thought I was a wacko, didn't want to ever talk to me again.
wow.
And I'm
Can you
going,
know what is 2021 then?
so it was like, so then I brought it up again. I had a guy, an interviewer doing a film. He came over to my house in this very room and he set up his stuff and everything. And same thing happened. I told him, I said, I see a California apocalypse coming. California's the golden state, the best economy, it's gone. It's never going to be the same again. Housing prices, homelessness. I went through all this stuff, right? I said, this is the beginning of a 30-year drop off, 3-decade drop off for California. It's
Wow.
going to suffer greatly. it's not dropping into the ocean, but economically, it's going to be a disaster. It's going to be pulled down. He packed up all his stuff, and he never returned a call, never returned an email. I never seen his films. So it's really odd. It's like the divine. After the two times, I said, God doesn't want this out there. It was too soon, and maybe people would have took it and been, maybe it would have made this thing worse. So when you get that information given twice, and people kill it and never release it, and and think you're crazy, you got to say that's God's way of saying.
Quiet. Wow.
But I will tell you this: even though the next 3 decades are kind of hairy, the final light at the end of the tunnel, it looks pretty darn good. We are on a path of evolution. Right now, we're in the revolutionary stage of the evolution, but we will eventually be there where we're going to need to be. And it's not that we have millions and millions of people trying to make things better. It only takes some super powerful spiritual beings, not many of them, sitting in a cave perhaps, or sitting in a house someplace, or in a church, or wherever. But right now, I see them in my mind. I know where they're at. I can see them. There's these great beings. You can call them the modern rishis if you want. You can call them ascended masters, whatever label you want to give them. But we have guardians of this planet. We have people out there that are praying and meditating for our greater good.
Wow.
And it is changing our collective spiritual DNA. So as each generation comes in, they're a little more highly evolved, a little more higher, a little more higher. We're on the cusp of, it's still a long ways to the golden age. We're still in the downward spiral here, but we're on the upswing. We're not in the bottom yugas, right? We're coming up, but we are coming up.
Thank you
So
for that.
I have total faith and total trust in the future.
Wow. That is so amazing. So this is like, so can we have a little bit, what is 2021 gonna be? We're not gonna shut this. So we gonna be, this is live. So what is 2021, if we may ask you? If
Go
that's
ahead.
right.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing I like to leave people with. People always say to me, what's my purpose? Why am I here? Why are we here? You know, uh, and they all think they got to become the president or inventor of something, or they got to change the world with a cure for cancer, or solve world peace. And I was talking to you earlier before we went on the air. It's not the big things. They happen collectively when we're ready. They'll happen. It's the thousands and thousands of little individual things. It's all the millions of butterfly wings flapping. They're going to cause this wind of change. It's the smile to somebody. It's a loving thought. I tell people, when you meet somebody, always give them a gift. And they go, what do you mean a gift? I said, no, it doesn't have to be a physical gift. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. But give them your love. Give them a kind thought. Give them a prayer. It's a mental thing. So
Wow.
everybody you meet, dispense a little bit of love to them,
Wow.
deposit it. So what we're here for are two things, and you can make it one if you want. But those two things are to love and to serve. And if you're busy loving and serving, you don't have time to feel sorry for yourself and trying to figure, I need who's taking care of me, who's loving me, who's serving me. No, your job is to love and serve. And if everybody was on that page, but
Wow.
in truth, if 10% of us are there, it will change. If 10% is a critical mass. If we can get 10% of the people in the world meditating and praying for world peace and harmony and love, 10%,
Just
we
10%,
will overcome the
guys.
rest.
Just 10%. You
10%.
can be one of them. And wow, you have melted my world rep. It's like, wow, wow, wow. I think I can never end talking to you. It's such a bliss and such a gift to have you here on this talk. And what would you like to say for people of never giving up, never give in, and never quit? Because how things are, and people are moving on to quit,
If,
quit.
yeah. I meet people all the time, and they're downtrodden, and they got this happen and that happened. Uh, Somebody from an Indian guy working in one of the Arab countries, it's unemployed, and he wrote me and he goes, "I'm desperate. I lost my job." He had a great. He was making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Now he's like a real person, right? And, oh my God! And I'm going, there's beggars on the street that aren't this desperate. I mean, you've made hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? But never give up. You manifest everything that happened to you in your life. So things are kind of in a negative state right now. Use that as your bottom foundation. Go up. Everything goes up.
Wow.
Everything expands. The universe is expanding. And Einstein says this, and they've proven it. The universe is expanding every moment. It's getting larger. It's expanding. So is our consciousness. So is our hope. So is the light. So don't ever give up. Give it up. No such thing. You can't give up because you know what? It's your destiny to become awakened, to become enlightened. It's your destiny. That is your birthright. That's what's going to, if you've been born, you will eventually become enlightened. It's just a fact.
Thank you so much, Rev. This has been such a blessing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I think thank you everybody who joined in. And I'm sure this was an amazing talk and it opened up so much for all of us. And please share with as many people as you can and wonder what gift this whole talk show can be to the world. Just a smile. And we can have a little music before we leave from.
Anyway, I miss Hawaii. I used to live in Hawaii. And keep a song in your heart. Learn to dance spiritually with the gods. It's not about you. It's not about anything. It's all about love. So that's it. I feel good today. I feel good every day I get up. I mean, to me, at my age, it's a gift to wake up and go, I'm not dead. I'm alive. I'm alive. Right. So it's always a good thing. It beats the alternative. But you know what? Even if I'm dead, I'm happy. So it's good either way. Don't be afraid to die, but don't be afraid to live.
Wow. OMG. OMG. Thanks, Rev. That is.
Thank you for having me. God bless.
Thank you. Thank you, my team, Sonali, Shivangi, Umesh, and thank you, Ritu, for all your compliments and comments here, and everybody who joined in. Thank you, thank you, everybody. Thank you. And next week for next. Yes. I don't want to go. Thank you. Thank you, Rev. Thanks,
I'd
everybody.
play it louder and more, but my wife is still sleeping.
So we have all the links for Rev to go through on for the YouTube and his links on the chat. So guys, if you want to connect with him, please connect him directly from those links. Thank
All
you.
right. God
Thank
bless.
you.
All right.